Girls love that. Chicks love the last shot opportunity. Somebody give me a napkin so I can wipe my mouth.
Finally, we're here. Episode 1, the Cedric Maxwell podcast on CLNS Media Network. I am Josue Pavon of CLNS Media, also of WEEI.com. And this man right here, he needs no introduction. But you know what? I'm going to give you one anyways, Max. 1981 NBA Finals MVP, two-time NBA champion with the Boston Celtics. His number 31 hangs above the parquet. He is Cedric Maxwell making his podcast debut.
Well, thank you very much. It is a pleasure. You know, I've always thought about this. Talked to a couple of people, and including you, and you kind of twisted my arm a little bit and made me say, well, you know, you have a lot to say, and people want to hear about it, so here I am.
A little bit. A lot of it. Man, we were talking about this for months, Max. I wasn't sure where your head was at until you kept bringing it up. I said, okay, if he keeps bringing it up, it's a reason. I've planted a seed.
Yeah, there's a possibility. Yeah. Anytime you think about doing stuff like this, I always think about my time and all the events I have to do, and then to do something else to include it in is, okay, how much can I do, and would I be true to what I'm really doing? And, you know, for this venture, I want to step out and be true and tell people really what I believe.
Yeah, man. So pretty much, and I know a lot of people in the media room can attest to this, there's pretty much a schedule day to day at the home games, right? Mm-hmm. You got Brad Stevens talks, you got the locker room opens up, you got people eating, and then there's this 7-minute window where Max comes in. It's about 7 minutes before tip-off, or so before the player introductions. And this guy just has the room dying laughing. You literally go like table to table and just like do like your little like, I don't even want to call it like a bit, but I can't think of a better way to describe it.
Bit would be
right?
good.
That's pretty much what it is.
It's an opportunity just to talk to people and see where they're at.
Right. But it's about like nothing to do with basketball, right? Like,
nothing to do with basketball.
Most random stuff.
And just random stuff that you want to talk about. And sometimes just to get my mind off the game, and then just to get away from it for a minute, and then get back to it once it gets ready to get started.
Right. Mm-hmm. But then that little 7-minute window is like, okay, this is podcast gold right now that we're sitting on. And literally it took me, I don't know, I think I started talking about this idea probably like December or so.
Yeah.
Months throughout the regular season. And I'm like, man, this is a podcast waiting to happen. Mm-hmm. So here it is, Cedric Maxwell, uncensored. I don't know how much he's going to say. You say you would keep it 100, as you said it, or as the kids say, that's how you worded it. As the kids say, I'm going to keep it 100. So we'll see how much of that Max we get from that media room, Max. But let's start here, Max. Obviously, you got the Celtics in the midst of a big playoff series here. We saw what they did against the Indiana Pacers. I mean, confidence is at an all-time high, it seems like, for this group. But there's still a lot of skeptics out there, right? In the middle of this series, the Celtics versus the Bucks. Where do you fall in that conversation in terms of how far this team can go?
I think people are rightfully so to be a little skeptical about this group, the way they played this year. It's been so up and down. But I think if you look at the body of work here in the last month, Gordon Hayward getting healthier, all the good signs for the Celtics, playing better, sharing the basketball a lot more, getting a lot of people involved. It's almost like they were ready, Kyrie Irving and his group, almost ready to get the regular season over and get to the postseason, where they handily dispatched Indiana with some skepticism. Coming back in 2 of those games at home, and then really going to Indiana and just kind of laying the wood to the Pacers in their building.
Which is obviously the big question heading to the postseason, right? Can these guys do this on the road? Because they are going to have to, if they're going to go deep into the playoffs, right? They're going to have to start off on the road. They did have home court against the Pacers, but this is a different animal we're talking about, right? We're talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo, MVP candidate, or maybe the MVP. We've got the Milwaukee Bucks, top seed in the East. They're rolling right now.
Yeah, they are. They're playing very well, but the Celtics have played them well this year. Point differential between the Bucks and the Celtics is maybe like 1 basket by 3 points or something like that. The margin of error, whoever won the game. But if you think about the way they beat other teams this year, the point differential is probably like 7, 8, 9, something high. So the Celtics have matched up and played them extremely well. So the other thing you have, though, you have Kyrie Irving. And Kyrie Irving is he will be that equalizer when it comes to playing on the road. And you think about Kyrie Irving, when he's been at his best, I think it's been more on the road than actually maybe home.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Think of his career.
Right.
The biggest shot he hit was a shot against Golden State when he's with Cleveland. And that shot was on the road in front of 26,000 people in the arena and millions of people right now that were around watching on TV. So Kyrie Irving has that gene in him. And also think about Kyrie Irving. He's a champion.
Right.
He's won the NBA championship.
He lives for these moments.
So I think that he does. You'll see a lot more. I think what you're seeing to me is Gordon Hayward becoming a lot better. And Jaylen Brown really has had his second half of the year has been exceptional. He started out he was in the fall in the beginning of the year. He didn't know when to shoot. He just was trying to fit into a system of 5 guys, and it didn't work. Brad Stevens, to his credit, took Jaylen out of the lineup, took Gordon out of the lineup, inserted Marcus Smart, and they played much better. But those 2 guys off the bench might be a turning point, because that's what's made the Celtics so tough to me. If you think about from top to bottom, I think the Celtics are the most talented team in the league from top to bottom. Starting 5, no. You look at other teams. Philly could be better. Golden State probably is better. But if you add those other guys in, the Celtics, to me, have more talent than anybody right now in the league.
So was that the problem during the regular season? Was it just a matter of these guys trying to figure out their roles, and it just sort of took a long time, took longer than most of us expected?
Well, we expected that Gordon Hayward was going to come back 100%. As they say, 100. We thought he was going to come back 100 right after, when the season started. And he wasn't. Clearly he was not ready. And he wasn't as ready physically, but I think it was more mental. There were times when he questioned what he was able to do. You could see he favored his leg and different things would happen on the court. And it was frustrating to watch. I'm sure it was more frustrating him as a player. But then you start seeing glimpses in the second half of the year of him playing defense better. And that is Al Horford said it best. He said he was more impressed watching Gordon Hayward play defense, because when you play defense, you have to react to somebody else. So your legs have to be kind of automatic. You're not thinking about it, but you're just going on what
purely instinct,
you're responding to what somebody else does. So that's a good sign for the Celtics.
Right. Well, you brought up Kyrie Irving. Obviously, we know what he's able to do in the postseason, his experience, his track record. Throughout the course of the regular season, obviously between his quotes and what was being said to the media and how he expressed himself, you're closer to these guys than most people. Have you ever had a conversation with Kyrie about that type of stuff?
No.
Or did you ever?
No. I kind of stay, as you and I would say, or as we'd say in this, I stay in my lane. Stay in your lane, dog. No, that isn't my position to talk to. Now,
but that surprises me.
If they ask me for it, no, not really. You think about it. Most young players and most people aren't going to ask advice to people who are more experienced.
But I'm not saying advice, though. I'm talking about just like kicking it, just talking to you, just saying what's up. Look at the past. Paul Pierce, he didn't do that with you.
They say hello, but I was close. But this is the thing. I was closer to the age then. When Paul Pierce first got on the team, I might have been just turning 41 or something like that. So right now, I'm in my middle 60s, and most of these guys are 20. So my experiences and what I do, we ain't in the same realm, I do know who Nipsey Hussle is, but that's about far as I can go. I can't tell you nothing. Kodak Black, I can tell you what he's doing.
You know the names,
because I hear my kids talk about it, but I don't know anything about that. So our experiences are completely different. So I'll say hi, and occasionally Al will talk to me sometimes and say something. But for the most part, no, I don't deal with them in that kind of one-on-one situation.
Do you think it's a matter of just that, though? Do you think it's the age differential in a sense, or is that just Kyrie he keeps to himself?
Kyrie has a very, very small group of friends, and a very small trusted group of friends, and sometimes I do like that about some of that with Kyrie. I wish he would open up a little bit more, but because he has that close-knit group of friends, including his father, I think that he believes in those people. Now, are they giving them the right advice? I don't know. But Kyrie Irving has always been Kyrie Irving.
Right.
Everybody says, has he made some mistakes with the media this year or with the fans? Yeah. Initially when you say to everybody, well, I'm coming back. I decided I'm coming back. I'm going to sign a new contract. But then they hit you off a month and a half later, and you're just like, look, I don't know. I don't owe anybody a damn thing. And when he said that, there was some confusion. Now there's confusion with the fans. If anything, he said he should have. If I would have done it like this, I would said, you know what my response was in the beginning of the year. I'm just going to stay with that one. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to change course. By changing course, he accelerated the process of the media getting in on his case or talking to him. And this is a guy who says, well, I don't want to deal with the media. Well, if you're an NBA player, you're in the wrong business. Mm-hmm. If you're dealing with the media. Most of these guys have Twitter handles, social media outlets. So if that's the case, how are you, how are all of a sudden you don't want to talk to them? I've heard players say, well, I think it was the commissioner saying, our players right now, some of it isn't fun to them. What? Well, go out and dig a ditch. Do something like, go out and deliver some trash or deliver pizzas. This is one of the best jobs in the world, considering how you live, what you do, what they pay you. It's an unbelievably good gig. And I think that some players, in the moment of being in it, don't see how good they have it until they actually walk away from the game.
You think it's a generation thing?
No, I've always been, even when I was in the middle of it, you did not know how good you had it at that time.
Right.
And even now, the players have it better than we did. Obviously, the money's bigger. The opportunities are better for them. Social media creates a lot of things for them. The NBA has become bigger, larger, and better. But you just have to understand who you are.
Yeah.
And be happy with who you are and realize that your job is, there's a line from here to China right now. People just standing there waiting. Can I be next?
Take your spot.
Can I get that spot? So, no, let's be happy where we're at.
Right. I mean, some people feel like he should have doubled down on what he said earlier in the season, but...
Woo, don't lose that word. No, please don't use double down. I've heard that coming too much from the White House. He doubled down again. Oh, my God. Please, Joe. Whatever you do, don't use that.
That's what they wanted from Kyrie.
But please, Kyrie, do anything other than double down. Just say I'm coming back or whatever you want to say. But we're not doubling down on this podcast as long as I'm here, all right?
Is that one of his terms? I didn't even know.
One of his terms. Many times we've heard that from the president. He doubled down again on this. He doubled down here. He doubled down. I'm like, the man should be at Foxwoods or the new casino here, doubling down. Blackjack. That's what they say, double down.
Well, all right. Well, should he have promised or re-promised or say, hey, look, I'm going to come back. Don't worry.
No. He should have
had to, right? I don't agree with that either.
All he had to do is say, refer to my comment earlier in the year. That's all you have to say. And you look, I've already answered that question. Refer to back what I said in the beginning of the year. Now, if you change your mind, you change your mind. He has the right to do that. But to me, the Celtics have done all the right things. They put themselves in the position right there. Kyrie's playing with a great team, a great coach. And if this doesn't make him happy to want to come back, I don't know what the Celtics could do.
Right. Did you ever get the sense throughout the season that, I don't want to say the team was divided, but like maybe some people just weren't on board with how he was conducting himself?
I'm sure there was. It seemed like there were times when there was some angst among the players.
Yeah, definitely.
And
you could feel it, right?
Especially talking about the younger players like Jalen and Tatum. That group last year, you think about it, and Rozier, that group took you almost to the finals. They were one shot away from being to the finals. So they're saying, Kyrie, who? We did this last year. So I'm sure that, there was some divide with him coming in, and Kyrie Irving is ball dominant, but still he's one of the greatest players. He may be the greatest finisher I've ever seen in the NBA. And that includes everybody. I mean, I've seen the great ones like Michael Jordan, but Kyrie can get to the hole. He has length to shoot it. He can get a shot almost anytime he wants to get it off. He's just unbelievable.
You think that's enough to get this team to the finals?
No, that's not enough to get them. They're going to have contributions from all those other guys they talk about. Aaron Baines has to be just as big as anybody. Because what we see when Giannis comes to the hole against anybody right now, guys take a step backwards because they don't want to be in some kid's living room. They don't want to be on the poster of some kid's wall, with getting dunked on by Giannis. So most guys have a fear of that. Aaron Baines? No. Aaron Baines is going in there where the crocodiles are at. He's from Australia. He doesn't give a damn at all. He like bring it on. So I like that. You're gonna have to kind of go through him now. Will he get dunked on? There's a good possibility that happens with Giannis.
But he's not worried about that.
But that's right.
That's the last thing he's
going to have. Giannis will have to do it. If Baines is around, Baines will go to the body as well as anybody to try to slow him down. And I think that's a good thing for the Celtics.
I think the only thing he's really worried about right now is his health. If I had to guess one thing, because I don't know, man. Baines hasn't looked the same ever since he came back from those injuries, and you can sort of see, at least in my opinion, it's almost as if the Celtics have him on a unannounced minutes restriction to make sure that they preserve him just for this series and, of course, beyond.
Well, I think that a lot of players at this time of the year are like that.
True. That's true.
You know, that you have injuries and guys are trying. And that's why I think it was very important for the Celtics to win quickly against Milwaukee. No, excuse me.
Against the Pacers.
Freudian slip right there. Against the Pacers. Because now you played, your last game was Tuesday or Sunday? Oh, Sunday. And you won, and you come back home, and you got 7 days that you're not playing. You probably took about 3 days off to just, kind of let your body relax and get your mind wrapped up. So I think it was really good for them to get that series over quickly.
Right. Definitely. I mean, between these two teams, this thing's going to go to max, if you ask me. Prediction? You got one?
I like the Celtics. I like the Celtics. A lot is going to be incumbent what happens in game one. I think that one thing we talk about all the time is that we talk about Giannis. Mm-hmm. And Giannis is a great player. But you can't get so pigeoned into Giannis that you get like guys like Middleton, leave him wide open. Tony Snell, leave those guys open from the three-point line. You have to live and die with guys individually going at Giannis for a while, and then maybe you bring help from time to time. One thing that does bother me about this series is, not having your best defender, Marcus Smart. Now, is Marcus big enough to guard Giannis? Not, but he would get under his wing, and I think you'll see different guys trying to take that position to take things away from Giannis.
Which ones? I think Jalen's big, especially defensively.
Jalen's big. Jalen has no fear. And remember, Jalen was earlier this season where Jalen came in and dunked on Giannis and then flexed in front of on Giannis.
He did, yeah. He got him. I forgot about that. Yeah,
and
he
got a technical.
Yeah.
So it was crazy that when you don't have any fear like that, when you're young, you don't have no fear. You don't think about any of those things, right? That's why you see these young kids now like, oh my God, driving like bats out of hell. But it's just older people going, ooh, that looks dangerous. I sometimes get in the Uber or Lyft now. It's like, whoa! It's like sitting in the back seat, like watching the damn movie, going, man, I wouldn't have made that move. I wouldn't have did that. But young people kind of do some of those things.
Was that you your first couple of years?
Oh yeah. I was a speed demon in the car. I was a speed demon when I played on the court, and just remember so many times guys pulling me to the side. One of the things I loved when I got in the NBA was, it was like we'd have practice and it was about an hour. But then the guys had to stretch for like 30 minutes. I'm like,
the OGs, right?
Dude,
the older guys.
Let's play the game so we can get out of here. We got an hour. But they're like, young fella, you're going to realize this. And eventually, I was that older guy saying, yo, we need to stretch a little bit and set up all this, So,
at what age did you start stretching? What age were you that guy?
I think I was probably like in about my third or fourth year. I was playing a lot of minutes.
Oh, okay. So you did it early.
So stretching.
You were hip.
But I wish that I had got more ice treatment. I watch all these guys now have ice on their knees,
the big bags,
shoulders, and the bags, and it would have done my knees much better. And they're shot right now. But I'm not playing any more balls. So,
when's the last time you played? Just pick up, just.
Ooh, man, that would have been maybe almost 20 years ago. Most guys said most NBA players, when they walk away from the game, they walk away. Now there's a big three, so now you have guys who are playing a little bit more. But most of the time, when guys walk away from the game, the great ones or just good players, they don't turn around. I remember somebody was talking to Earl Monroe about that. Yo, man, Earl, when's the last time you played? And that time he said, man, I ain't picked up a ball in about 20 years. So guys just, they go on, they start doing different things. And really, it's almost like it it looks foreign when you see guys play now doing what they are able to do.
I just feel like you're so close to the game, you know.
Yeah, I'm close to the game, but that means you have to play it. A referee is close to the game; he doesn't play it. I mean, I'm just not one of those guys that wants to, want to stay in shape. But I see more of my friends right now with Achilles injuries or something happened to the band. So how'd that happen? Oh, I was just out BSing with my son, and I tore some or my boys, and I heard something pop. I'm like, the only reason you're gonna hear that about me is I'm gonna be walking someplace and something pops. But it ain't gonna be because I was out playing. Matter of fact, I had some guys one time ask me that. Said, man, we need another one. We got 5. We need one more to make 6. Dog, you still need another one because I ain't playing. Because here's the thing I'd ask you. What do I gain?
Yeah, true.
If I go out and I beat you playing right now?
A good time. Enjoyment.
Good time.
Yeah. You can tell everyone, look, I still got it. OG still got it.
Good time. I can go in here and watch my Netflix right now. Have a good time and not sweat. So I'm good with that. I mean, guys like, oh, Max, you should come back. One day I think I was in the gym and this guy, hey, man, you want to play some one-on-one? No. Play no one-on-one with you. What the hell am I going to win? I'm being, Charlie Jones. I'm playing him one-on-one. I win. What do I win? Oh, I had a good time, or I'm happy.
Bragging rights.
What am I bragging rights?
You can talk shit. You can say what you want to say.
Bragging rights with a guy who ain't never played before, and I'm an NBA champion. What? No, I'm good. I think the last one I played was my son, like that. We played him, and he was like, he beat me. And most people now, within my voice, remember this about your child. You might play your child one-on-one, but make sure you beat him as long as you can. Because one thing that happens, most parents, once their sons or their daughters or whatever beats them in that game, that's the last time you play. Don't play no more.
It's a wrap.
I had a great story.
You go out with an L, you can't go back.
You can't go out. Yeah, you go out with an L. You're good. You're good with that. I remember one time I did talk radio, and I had Reggie White was in front of me. He and I were the great Reggie White, the football player that passed away, unfortunately. He and I were talking, and I was like, man, Reggie, why did football players hold on as long as you? He says, as a basketball player, he said, there are times when you can go out and do pickup and if you want to and shoot around with your buddies and, whatever and have a good time. He said, once you finish playing tackle football, you can't never play again. He said, that's it. You ain't going out playing pickup tackle.
Ain't nobody trying to play pickup tackle.
No, ain't playing no pickup tackle. So I do remember that. Just some of the guys that I remember and talked to, and Reggie White was one of those guys, and he was so interesting.
What if there was a league like the Big Three? Would you have participated?
There is a league like the Big Three.
No, when you had just walked away from the league, would you have participated?
You know what? I was done.
Yeah.
I was really done. By the time I got through playing, and I look at a lot of the guys out there in the Big Three, they're done already too. It's like, just a matter of time, an injury or whatever.
Yeah, but everyone's done together. That's the fun of it.
Yeah, but it's some guys are a little bit more competitive than others.
Yeah. And
I'm just not that guy, Mentally, I like to do things like, if I want line and play Scrabble or different games, to be mentally sharp and be physically. What I do is challenge myself on the treadmill or the elliptical machine. Those are my challenges right now physically.
All right, well, Max, before we wrap up this episode, got to talk about the passing of the late John Havlicek. Organization's obviously mourning. The whole league, NBA as a whole, is mourning the loss of such an icon, such a legend, Celtics legend. Just your first couple of conversations with John, what were those like when you first came with the Celtics, and what kind of conversations you guys had? Was it all basketball related? Or
really, John and I were in two different eras. Again, almost like you talk about the players now. John, when I first got in the league in 1977, John had been in the league 16 years.
Right.
So I came in as a 21-year-old, and he was
stretching.
37.
He was stretching it out.
He was
trying to play pickup.
Yeah. He was ending this thing.
Right.
So we didn't do a lot of talking, but he was such a gracious dude. My first year with the Celtics, Tommy Heinsohn was our coach. We started out 1-8 with a bunch of all-star players. And Tommy Heinsohn, to spark everything, decided that he was going to take the great John Havlicek out of the lineup and put this young, unproven rookie in, Cedric Maxwell. and I scored 21 points against, it was Buffalo at the time. We won the game. The first person that came to me was John Havlicek and congratulated me. Wow. And it just showed me what kind of class he was. Now, there were times when John would tell stories, but he would tell these stories that weren't about basketball to me. He knew I was fascinated by nature. Mm. And John was not only a great basketball player, but he was a sportsman. He loved to fish. He loved to hunt, hike, all these different things. When you see these YouTube videos right now about guys hunting and with spears and guys shooting stuff with arrows, and John had these rifles, and he would go, him and Kurt Gowdy, the legendary Kurt Gowdy, they would go on those trips back in the day. They would go to Montana, they would go to Alaska, and they would do all this hunting. And he would tell me about these antelopes, or he'd tell me about a bighorn sheep that he killed. It could have been anything. Went to Africa and did. So John was just one of these guys that fascinated me by those stories. His fishing, and I said, "Well, what you guys? Did you have like a mobile home?" No, we had no mobile home. We slept on the ground out in a tent. I said, "Outside?" He's like, "Yeah." So I was like, I was blown away by that. That you had this great player, great basketball player, who had a touch with the common man, and that to me was really special. John, the thing he did religiously after he got through playing, one thing he regretted. He said he regretted that he retired that year, because he said he wished he had stayed around a year so he could have played with Larry Bird, which I thought would have been fascinating. Then you're talking about a guy who played 16 years, won 8 championships, has all those number ones beside him in the Celtic record book. Most points, most minutes played, most free throw. He has all these different records. And he is right now, in a way, like every other player, a great player is going to fall through the cracks. And not, you'll see people who played against him, and you'll see people who covered him. They talk about his greatness. But even for me, as a basketball player, I watched him, and I knew he was a great player. But once I got to when playing with John, it was in his last year. So he wasn't really what he was then. So I wasn't looking at him in awe. I was looking at him as, okay, this old dude still got a little stuff and, still got a little junk in the tank. One thing he used to do a lot, though, after he got through playing, for the last maybe about 3 or 4 years after he got through playing, he would always come to our practices. And then there would be a time when he was going to suit up and he was going to play against our rookies and get up and run. And John he would get out there and run, make his little moves. They were a lot slower. They were a lot more defined, but he still had a lot of fun dealing with those players.
What were some of the last conversations you remember having with him?
Well, the last one I had with him was, and it was really kind of sad after linking things together now. Paul Pierce had his retirement, and it's about over a year ago, retired his jersey. And I was excited because they had John there as former Celtic legends. We all come back, somebody's jersey is retired. We all kind of come back for that. And John was there, and I saw John, and because I played with John, I was all excited. I went up, "Hey John, hey, how you doing? And then John just pretty much said, hey, how are you?" And I was kind of pushed back for a minute, taken back. But then after putting things together now, to realize that John probably had dementia. Mm-hmm. He had Parkinson's. He was battling all this stuff. So probably, I'm not sure, but probably didn't recognize me as that player, that young player that he really helped develop during those years. So in a big way, my last conversation with him was very bittersweet.
Yeah, that's tough. What a night that night was, huh?
Yeah.
A lot of people came out for that.
Oh, came out for Paul's night and for his night. A lot of players. And that night, John Havlicek's last game, it was against Buffalo. He had like 28, 8, and 6. And it was like, damn, like he had just gotten to a damn time machine and went back to his rookie year. I was like, damn, I ain't seen this guy. Who the hell is this? And it was just fascinating. But guys made a point of giving him the ball, putting it on his hands, and just he had that muscle memory kicked in, and John for that night what was the John Havlicek, the great John Havlicek.
Well, salute to him.
Yes.
Cheers to him. First episode, the Cedric Maxwell podcast. We'll wrap up right there.
Okay.